The impossible climb of the human fly. Close your eyes and look up, way up, to the sheer glass face of a skyscraper that pierces the clouds. Now imagine climbing it. No ropes, no safety nets, no tools, just your bare hands and the microscopic grip of polished glass and cold steel. This is not a scene from a movie. This is the life and obsession of Alain Robert, the original and perhaps the most legendary French Spider-Man. But this story is not just about a man who climbs buildings. It is about a man who was told he would never climb anything again after a catastrophic accident. It is a story about defying medical science, conquering paralyzing fear, and proving that the will is more powerful than the structural limits of the human body. Part 1. The Fall, 1982. Alain Robert's life began with an immediate, almost spiritual connection to height. As a child growing up in the historic town of Dijon, France, he was terrified of heights, yet drawn to them. To overcome his fear, he began climbing. First trees, then the limestone cliffs of the local region. He quickly developed a unique style. He rejected ropes and harnesses, preferring to free solo, trusting only his own skill and balance. His confidence grew until a moment that nearly ended his life and his dream. In 1982, at the age of 20, while climbing a cliff face near his home, he lost his grip. He fell 49 feet, 15 meters, hitting the ground with brutal force. The consequences were devastating: multiple skull fractures, several broken ribs, and, most critically, severe damage to his spine, pelvis, and wrists. The doctor's prognosis was grim: permanent damage, chronic pain, and a lifetime dependence on crutches or a wheelchair. He was told climbing was utterly out of the question. Even walking without assistance would be a major challenge. He spent 5 days in a coma and 6 months in the hospital. This period of stillness was torturous for a man whose life was defined by motion. But lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, Robert made a quiet, definitive decision. The doctors were wrong. His spirit would not accept the limits they had placed on his body. Part 2. The Self-Rehabilitation and the Revelation. Robert's rehabilitation was brutal and entirely self-driven. He used his knowledge of climbing mechanics to reteach his body how to move, focusing on strengthening the tiny, stabilizing muscles that had been damaged. He fought through constant pain, performing exercises designed to counteract the instability of his damaged joints. The turning point came when he rediscovered the challenge of the urban environment. After years of rehabilitation, he started climbing again, but he realized that the polished, vertical faces of modern architecture presented a unique challenge that was less taxing on his repaired joints than the irregular surfaces of rock. Skyscrapers offered predictable, if microscopic, holds. The thin lip of a window frame, the barely there seams between glass panels, the narrow bolts of the service vents. His medical condition, surprisingly, became a source of motivation. He was legally certified as 66% disabled. He felt that by mastering the world's tallest and most technically demanding structures, he wasn't just climbing. He was making a monumental statement against the medical verdict. He was proving that disability is a label, not a destiny. Part 3. The Rise of the Human Fly, 1994 to 2000. In 1994, Robert burst onto the world stage. His method was always the same: no publicity, no permission, no safety gear. He would arrive discreetly, often at dawn, and begin his ascent. He needed to be fast, precise, and completely focused, as authorities would often attempt to stop him mid-climb. His repertoire grew quickly to include the most iconic, difficult, and dangerous buildings on Earth. The Empire State Building, New York, a complex pattern of setbacks and intricate steelwork completed without permission. The Sears Tower, Chicago. The sheer scale and changing weather at altitude presented a terrifying challenge. The Petronas Twin Towers, Kuala Lumpur, one of the tallest twin structures in the world, requiring enormous endurance. The Eiffel Tower, Paris, an intricate web of metalwork that demanded a unique kind of technical skill. He quickly earned the nickname the Human Fly. His climbs were not simply about reaching the top. They were breathtaking demonstrations of extreme control and balance. He navigated sudden wind gusts, slippery surfaces from rain or condensation, and the constant threat of police intervention, all while his damaged body screamed in protest with every shift of weight. His climbs usually ended the same way, either by reaching the roof, where he was immediately arrested, or by being pulled through a window halfway up by police or firefighters. He estimates he has been arrested over 160 times in various countries for these unauthorized ascents. For Robert, the arrest was part of the process. The price of his self-expression. Part 4. The Mind Over Matter. What truly distinguishes Robert's story is the psychological element. Free soloing is fundamentally a battle against the human instinct to survive one mistake. A sweaty palm, a sudden cramp, a gust of wind, and the climb is over. Robert developed a state of mind known as the zone. When he begins his climb, his mind becomes hyper-focused, silencing all external noise and internal fear. He enters a state of deep meditative concentration where every touch, every shift of weight is instinctual. He cannot afford fear. Fear causes hesitation, and hesitation causes falls. His unique challenge, his 66% disability rating, meant that his concentration had to be even more absolute. He knew that the slight structural weakness in his pelvis or the chronic pain in his wrists could surface at any moment. His climbs were therefore not just feats of physical strength, but monumental acts of mental discipline, constantly monitoring and compensating for the medical limits of his own body. He was performing a high-wire act of constant internal negotiation between his will and his physical reality. Conclusion. Alain Robert, the human fly, is a living paradox. A man certified as physically disabled who has conquered the world's most demanding vertical arenas. He is more than an urban climber. He is a symbol of human defiance against limitation. His enduring legacy lies not in the height of the buildings he has conquered, but in the depths of the despair he overcame. By refusing to accept the limits placed upon him by fate and medical science, he has inspired millions. He reminds us that even when our foundations are fractured, the mind's resilience can rebuild, surpass, and soar above the tallest structures the world can build. His life is a dramatic, real-world narrative that proves the human spirit is truly unsinkable.